as time flies by, you'll open up your eyes wide. You feel it's gonna go your way. Hey, hey, it's a brand new day. Hey, 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 it's a brand.
Welcome back to Marbella Now. My name is Nicole King. I hope you had a wonderful weekend. Joining me as my first guest this week is Sorana Filipescu. She's from Biomagnetismo Marbella, an amazing way of helping heal the body that's not invasive. And Sorana is such a mine of knowledge on the subject of biology, the body, how everything works together, really that holistic approach, that we've decided to have Sorana back on the show today, probably the first of many, to talk specifically about feelings, because it is proven that our feelings do actually influence our physical body. And as a lot of us are feeling a lot of strange things lately with everything that's going on, I think it could be very welcome information for many. Sorana, welcome back to Marbella Now.
Hi, Nicole. Thank you so much for having me. And I'm so glad we can touch this subject that it's not very discussed about in medicine lately. But it's a subject, it's something that really influences our body. So our emotions, real, our thoughts having something to do with our body. And actually it does, because the way we live an experience can actually trigger a lot of things that later in our life can determine us to choose or to make some elections, and we don't even realize where it's coming from. So yes, emotions are real, and yes, they affect our body. And it has been proven, like scientifically proven, in the last 20 years that they approach this subject more, that 75 to 98% of the majority of illnesses are caused by our thoughts. So mental, physical, and emotional illnesses are caused by the way we are thinking. So that's huge, no? That lies only with 2% of the diseases that are caused by external factors. So let me give you an example. Fear. Fear is an emotion that fear alone can trigger more than 1,400 chemical and physical reactions in our body, and it can activate more than 30 hormones. So when you are scared, when you feel fear, what does it happen? So first, you're living like in a survival mode, so your digestive system is shut down because you need to survive instead of eat. Your tension grows. You have a lot of cortisol, because cortisol is the hormone of fear. You need to escape this danger that you are supposed to be in. So also glucose rises in order to have more energy. That's why a lot of people cannot lose weight or gain weight, because they are under stress, they're under fear. We are living in this fear. So think about our society nowadays, our culture. We live a real epidemic of toxic thoughts. So toxic thoughts can really influence us in a bad way and create us physical symptoms. So the way we should react to that, it's not like a recipe. Okay, I will go and do yoga and that will help me out. No, it's really a protocol, and we do need to train our mind and to understand how our mind works. And this thing is real. The emotion and the thoughts are a real thing. We cannot touch them, but we really can feel the power that it has.
Nowadays, I listen to a lot of the TED Talks and the different things with my real world of perception, with the lenses, with chromogen. Mm-hmm. It comes up a lot about how we perceive the world. And I know that lately there's been a lot of talk of difference between what is the mind, but as opposed to what is the brain, and again, separate from what is our conscious physical, or our conscious being, as opposed to the physical being. There seem to be three clear aspects. And as I understand it, again, emotions being almost as far responsible of creating how our DNA is going to carry on giving the instructions to the rest of the body is actually then emotions to DNA to then physical reactions in the body.
Yes, let me explain you a little bit the difference about the mind and the brain. Is it the same thing? They work together, but they are different. Whereas the mind, the brain, is the physical thing, is the physical substance that if I will take out a brain for someone and I will hold it in my hand, actually we can stare at it hours, but it won't do anything. The mind is that what creates all those brain functions. So to give an example, going back when we were to school, some of us had the experience. We were given a piece of paper, white paper, and a magnet, and some iron, how do you call it? The files, iron chips, iron files. So you will put the iron files on the white paper, and if you put a magnet in the middle, the iron files will shape in different patterns. So now think that the magnet is the brain, and the iron files, the pattern that were created, is the mind. So the mind creates the patterns that the iron files can arrange themselves in, and the iron files are our thoughts. So it's this simple. If you have this image, if you can visualize it. So the mind creates, and the mind influences our brain. So our thoughts and the way we think create and activate certain genes in our brain, and these genes lead to protein productions and enzyme productions that end up in a physical reaction, a response of our body, because genes are shut down and activated by those thoughts. So this really becomes physical. So we realize that the thought, it's actually becoming a physical thing. I want to quote a thing that I read, and I think it's very good, and it comes very good in this moment. Marcus Aurelius said that our life is what our thoughts make of it. So what did he mean by that? He meant that our thoughts create our thoughts, our words, and our emotion create our reality, the world we live in. And we are behaving and conducting accordingly to that. So the thoughts, all our thoughts gathered create our attitude. And this attitude is like a mindset that we are acting and living by. And this attitude alone, and not the DNA, can lead to the quality of life we want to have. So it's not the DNA, it's our emotions and our attitude, that are thoughts, emotions, everything that leads to the quality of life. Because lately in medicine, we are not taking this very seriously, and we go to a doctor and you said, oh, I'm depressed, or I have fibromyalgia. So they give you a pill, but they don't think of the narrative of the person, of the patient. They don't try to look at the body in a holistic way. That's the whole secret. We cannot put a label to a symptom. I have a headache. So, okay, I have a headache, take this. No, I have a headache. Why do I have this headache? Is it something underlying that creates these symptoms? So it's very complex. Our body is very complex, and our mind seems to be managing and creating everything. So that's why it's very important, the thoughts that we have, the words that we use, because now, even when we're speaking, we're creating electromagnetic vibes. Each word has a vibration, and it will influence your mind, and it will create like a small seed that with these vibes I will activate some part of your brain, and these seeds go and are stuck there, and they start creating roots and branches, and they grow like a tree. And now, depending that what you want to see there, if what we're speaking now and what I'm transmitting you, it's very toxic, and you start having these thoughts and thinking about that, and you got stuck in that, you start having like a toxic thing inside your brain, and that can alter your chemical reaction and the chemistry of your brain. So in function of that, as I told you with fear, we can have different responses.
Along with the word fear encompasses actually so many things, just not just being scared, but there is a lot of things going on right now, and whether it be due to medical issues or due to emotional issues or someone losing somebody, that having our body out of the correct vibration,
Exactly.
when we're not vibrating in harmony with ourselves, with the things that we're doing, again, these are the things that can cause us to feel physically unwell, like too much responsibility, pain in shoulders and arms, not knowing what to do next, pain in legs, hips,
Yeah.
and things like that.
And also, we are like onions, and each thing and each emotion and each experience that we have, we gather it and we stock it in our brain. And in time, that would lead to different reactions in our body, as you said. Let me give you an example of aggression, for example, or fear, or something that someone told you when you were a little girl. And this, you took it and you made of it a belief, you made of it a true thing that you were thinking it is. Lately in life, you will act accordingly to this in a experience that is similar. I will give you a personal example, because of course I'm struggling also with a lot of toxic thoughts and a lot of toxic issues. So when I was little, my dad was telling me that women, it's very bad to have big feet, and he would buy me very small shoes. So because it's very nice to have
Small, dainty feet.
Exactly, like a geisha. So he was repeating that constantly, and whenever we were going shopping for shoes, I was fearing to go with my dad, because he was buying shoes that were like fit, and my foot was growing, so it wasn't very comfortable. But what happened lately? This idea and this thing, it's like an aggression. It stuck in my mind, and it got roots, and it became a tree. And lately on, I went shopping, and till the present moment, when I'm shopping for shoes, I'm not buying a shoe that I feel comfortable in. It needs to be smaller. I need to feel the pain in order to enjoy the shoe. So this thing is really toxic, and what it does, it leads to physical pain, it leads to physical disorder. And this is only one example that came up in my mind. What happened with other things related to our personality? Why don't we trust ourselves? Why can we have self-confidence? It's because someone put a seed there when we were little, and we couldn't really think well and have the possibility to choose which is a good idea or a good example or not. We just took it for right thing, and we start leading our life and acting as if it's a positive thing.
Curiously, obviously, this I think brings up that any diagnosis of anything should start with a psychological discussion, a personal analysis, to see if there are any underlying issues. But also, when you see that these, if someone was to come up to you and explain your story to you regarding someone else, you would know immediately that that was ridiculous and they shouldn't be doing that, and to stop doing that. Mm-hmm. Why is it so hard, do you think, to apply? Why we're so much harder on ourselves? If a little girl came up and told you that story, you would say, oh, poor you, and don't let that happen again, and that was such a wrong thing to do. And yet here you are, that's so capable, so grown up, so beautiful, so everything still
Using small shoes.
Using small shoes.
Yeah, it's really a paradox. I'm telling you, I'm struggling also with that. And we are, like I told you, like onions, and we have this, we need to peel, and we need to go to the ground, and we need to go really to the root of the problem. So why doctors and why medicine is not treating it this way? Because first of all, we live in a very hectic environment. So you go to a doctor and you have 5 minutes top for them to analyze you, to give you the treatment, and you have to be out because the next patient is entering. So this leads to a lack of the doctor is not interested in the narrative, is not interested in you, is sitting down and asking, okay, let me ask you, you have this rush on your skin, and you have this headache, tell me. And to start speaking and digging as a detective around.
Like it used to be with the old GP, the general practitioner in the old days,
Yes,
that you think you'd
exactly.
have everyone, you have your family doctor, and they get to know you. It's a different world.
Yes.
Particularly for foreigners here and with children, because you're going to private things, or it's very difficult to get that familiarity.
Yes, it's so, and normally also people and patients don't want to reveal too many things about themselves, and they prefer taking a pill, and because it's easier, it's like easier and faster to do so. So the problem is time, and also the problem is the focus that medicine, Western medicine took. So the holistic part and the personal part, it's left apart, and we are more into technology, more into chemistry that would resolve a thing. But I think it's not the way we should handle it.
So not only is the technology helping us become detached from each other, it's actually just promoting how detached we've become from ourselves.
Yeah.
And we will be talking about that after the break, how to get more connected with ourselves, because if we're looking outwards for solutions, we probably won't find them. We have to look within, and that's what we'll be doing with Sorana Filipescu of Biomagnetism Marbella after the break.
Judy likes to consider herself a clever young woman, which is why she thought very carefully before choosing her insurance company. Now that she needs it, she's jolly glad she chose Linear Director, as it looks as if she might have something better to do. Why don't you be clever, like Judy? Call Linear Director on 952 14 78 34 and see which policy is best for you.
Hi guys, Ross here from Hogan Stand. Proud to be a member of the Zero Hero campaign, and we recommend everybody. Nobody drives drinking. Everybody who drives a car doesn't have any alcohol in their system, and we're proud to sponsor the Zero Hero program.
We are at one. We are at
G-Wine is happy to be Zero Hero partner.
How cool is that? G-Wine.
Glad are proud to present Zero the Hero. Never drink and drive.
A big thank you to Linear Director Insurance Company, not just for supporting my program, but our community, giving us free taxi up to 4 times a month rather than have us drink and drive as policyholders, and the Road Traffic Safety Foundation promoting road traffic safety in our community with our free breathalyzers and those Zero Hero partners. Right now, if you've been following today's show, I'm with Sorana Filipescu. She is from Biomagnetism Marbella, a very interesting treatment that we're going to talk about first. Now we are actually in general discussing emotions, feelings, how that affects our physical body and what to do about it, more importantly. Sorana, let's continue. Firstly, for those who haven't seen you on the show before, I discovered the biomagnetism knowing you. Very interesting to go for the treatment. As I tell everybody, you wiggle your ankles, and I don't know how you do it, but I noticed a difference and hence recommend it. But then when I went one time, you also did a treatment. It's, oh, let's see how your emotional psyche is. And again, wiggling ankles. You seem to know an awful lot and be able to do that with magnets. the beginning of the program, you made an analogy of magnets, the shavings, how they form patterns.
Yeah.
What is that all about? How does it work?
Well, when you came and the first time we did scanning about all the pathogen and bacteria and microbes that might affect you and create symptoms. But the same way I'm checking the anatomy and the organic part, I can check your body if there are some conflict, some emotional conflict that is like stuck in you. If you have emotion that are like trapped and that might create physical symptoms. So the same way, the same therapy, the same testing is required about checking the emotions, and you have a protocol that you follow, and I can check that if a physical thing that you have might be related to an emotion that you kept, that you have inside, and during time it evolves, it creates acidity, it creates sometimes losing of matter, and it will give you a very bad symptoms. And the things that they discovered, people that come and they are very skeptic about that, and I'm trying and I'm searching for problem, and they come up, they are really surprised because they said, oh, I didn't even think about that this thing could really affect me, and they start improving. So this means that whatever idea, whatever thing that we have, and that it's not like it's not vibrating, it's not in resonance with us, can affect us, and can like the way that we can take another way in reacting, in vibrating, and that can affect our physical body. Because the symptoms that we have, for example, I have a bad stomach, I have a headache, I have acidity, I have an ulcer. You think, oh, it's a symptoms, and we label it. Okay, it's an ulcer, it's a I don't know, diabetes, it's a disease. But no, it's not like that, because we need to look at the underlying issue that's there, that it's like lingering there, and we need to go to the root. So for example, if a headache is caused, we have a headache, and we go to job every day, our job every day, and we say, oh my God, this job is killing me, I don't like it, it's really killing me, and it's giving me a headache and whatever. The words have a very big and important resonance and vibration and effect on our subconscious, and our mind is there to protect us and to make us survive. So when we say that this job is killing me, I hate it, I hate going there, what does our mind do? Said, okay, I'm going to protect you. If this job is killing you, I will protect you from that. I will make you not go to the job. So you will start having headaches, or you will start having a lot of acidity, and that will enable you to go to work. Also, all the diseases have like a pattern and have like a meaning. For example, the acidity in your stomach means that you cannot digest something. The thing that you swallow, it's not very good for you, so it provokes a lot of chlorhydric acid in order to destroy that thing that kills you. But that's an emotion, but it has a physical impact. So see how thoughts really act with our mind, work with our brain that sends out neurological signals to our body, and our body responds to it. So everything it's...
And that's when we need to get hold of our consciousness and to be physically present to make sure we don't let our thoughts run away with us, perhaps.
Of course.
And then when we catch ourselves going on these downward spirals of negativity and resentment and despair or lack of money, to somehow change the focus to something to then attract a different vibration. We only see what we expect.
Exactly. And we
In essence.
attract what we see.
And more, yeah.
Exactly. But that's very difficult. So the first thing in healing, it's, I think, being aware, gather awareness of everything, being present, as you said, in this moment. I'm very nervous in the car, it's traffic, and I start being nervous and I start swearing, and I start, instead of doing that or saying, oh no, I cannot be that, I cannot do that, because if you tell yourself not to do something, in the end you will do it, of course. Instead of doing that, just analyze yourself. Come out of this unconscious program that we are and just analyze your feeling. Why am I feeling nervous? Why do I have this attack? It must be something underlying or that happened previously in my life, that it's now responding to the feeling that I have now, and it's resonating with more force that it should. So the first thing, it's like being aware of that, and don't be afraid of feeling like guilt or like anger or jealousy or whatever, feeling that it's toxic, and no, I'm just pushing it away because it's toxic. No, instead of doing that, we should embrace it, because embracing it, we're just observing it, and we're just coming out of this pattern, of this unknown pattern, and we observe it. So we have another view on it, and we can heal our brain like that. So instead of blocking it, we try to do another path and understand it, and do another path, search for another choice, and that will create other ramification in our brain, and that will help us.
Even for people, for example, who are overweight and want to lose weight, I think sometimes the enormity of a situation can be overwhelming in itself.
Yes.
I know through you that addressing one aspect at a time, taking that first step is the all-important, because once you start, everything does seem to follow. It's just not being too over-demanding perhaps on oneself at the beginning, depending on where you're starting from.
Exactly. The same way that we start a biomagnetism, I cannot start with emotion from the first point, because sometimes we are not ready. Because also we have to think another thing. This changes that we want to do required also a lot of force, interior force. And when we are doing, when we're changing a thing, we're coming of our comfort zone. So imagine if you have your granddaughter, she's all the time using the same spoon, the same pink spoon, or using just the same things to eat or the same things to wear. Now give her another things. She will start crying or she will do a tantrum. Why? Because she's used to certain things, and when you change those habits, it's like getting out of the comfort zone, and that it's like unbalancing you, that's scaring you, because you don't know what you receive and what will happen. The same thing with people. If you are getting out emotions and trying to see what's in there, you're revealing a lot of things, so hell breaks free. And we are not, sometimes we are not capable of managing all those feelings. So it's good to take it step by step, to see an emotion at a time, to deal with it. We go to the, it's like a blueprint that we have. We go to the root, we find the emotion, we speak about that, and we release it the same way. And that, like this, we follow every session, and we peel all those things, that
those layers,
those layers off, until we arrive to the main thing that creates us the problem.
the body, the mind, the conscience, it's a very extensive subject. You're very passionate about all the different aspects of it. I know you do a lot of research, you do a lot of studying. Your families are all doctors and very qualified professionals. How do they feel about your alternative approach?
But in the first thing, they were very skeptical, because they come from an old school of medicine, and they were not sure what to believe. But after seeing some results, I treated my sister, she had very good response, and I treated my mom. Actually, my mom, she's a dentist, she does a lot of Reiki, a lot of alternative, she implements a lot of alternative medicine and practice in her practice, so that's helping her. And it was very funny, because something happened to a friend of ours, and my sister didn't know what to tell her, and my dad said, well, call Sorana, because she knows. And she said, but she's not a doctor. But you don't have to be a doctor, you don't have to have this title in order to heal or help in the healing process, because we are not only flesh and blood, we are more than that, because it's the same like the brain and the mind. Our body wouldn't function without our soul and this energy that we have inside. And this energy sometimes can be stuck and creates, and it can create conflict. Being stuck and couldn't flow, if it cannot flow, it can create conflict. So I would like, we have a very short time to discuss all that, but I think that we can, in different shows, we can speak about different matters, for example, problems, heart problems, and how emotion can influence that, and how emotions or conflicts can affect also our eyes and our vision. You know more about that. So I think we have a lot of things to discuss.
I do too. It's a very interesting, and from the work I do with the visual aspect, perspective is everything. We don't all see the same as everybody else. Even if we look at the same thing, our interpretation, our perception is completely different. And at the same time, as 80% of the information comes through our eyes, of the awareness of the outside world, most of our body is made up of water. And water has been proven to really reflect our emotions and the words we say. So please say nice things to yourself, say nice things to others, and join us again tomorrow for more of what's going on in Marbella. Now, Sarana, thank you so much.
Thank you, Nicole.
Go visit Sarana if you've got any questions or you want to try her biomagnetism. I have to say, for me, very happy.
Thank you.
Hasta mañana.
We can change if we try. Just believe it.